Happy Friday, everybody. This is so exciting. We are on location this morning at this new happening hotspot right here on Bremer Avenue in Waverly. It's Grumpy's Roadhouse.
Oh my
gosh. I have to say this. I love the name.
Wait, no.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're just being handed.
I have to show.
This is how you start your morning, right? A burger.
No. Look at this.
Oh, my gosh. Homemade fried pickles. And her favorite.
The pretzel. See, this is the thing. I'm from PA. So anybody watching right now, if you're from PA, you've been from PA, and if you don't, it's Pennsylvania. We are pretzel connoisseurs. We had this pretzel at the Grumpy's in Reedland when we did our show, our Faith and Four-Letter Word show. It is the best soft pretzel, hands down. I mean, it rivals the street pretzels back home, outside the link. You know, it's amazing. Oh my God, I'm literally going to dive in.
And she wouldn't say that unless she means it. So here's what's so exciting. Grumpy's original location in Reedland, that's actually an event center as well as a great place to eat, a great bar. We had a sold out show there, I believe it was last year.
Yes.
And now Mike and his team have opened a second location. It's the original Joe's Nighthawk, for those of you familiar with the past. But it's actually at the same block, but there was another.
Yes, and it's right down the street from, it's by Wartburg.
By Wartburg, thank you.
By Wartburg.
So here's the thing. I love the name because
watch me eat this
if
right in front of everybody.
you're like me and you loved Patrick Swayze and Roadhouse, like what a great name, right? Grumpy's Roadhouse. It's perfect. So we asked right now, along with the burgers and fries, of course, amazing fries, the homemade fried pickles are one of the best sellers. So stop in. It's been crazy. He just opened, last week, and they've had up to like a 3-hour wait, which is not
Well, this
a
is
bad
the thing.
thing.
This is what we all know. Iowa, small towns, great small towns. We need great restaurants like this where you can come in. It's after work. Nobody wants to cook. You're going in between practices. It's a great place. They have all the TVs everywhere so you can watch, the Philadelphia Eagles play or, whatever team that, whatever bottom basement team.
So
we're
going to pan the camera around so you can see this great space. They did a lot of work to sort of renovate and just bring it up to a really nice place to bring not just adults, but your family.
Oh, it's fun. I mean, and it's brand new inside. We can go on and on. But in this pretzel, you don't think that I'm not going to eat this whole thing right here at 7:00 in the morning on live television. So a lot has happened this week in the news. Last week I was sick. I was sorry, but we did not get to talk about what I wanted to talk about, which was the debate. And I kind of...
Sorry, I'm chewing a fried pickle while you're trying
to... Eat your fried pickle at 7 a.m. You're fine. There's no normal. This is normal. So we wanted to talk about the debate a bit. And I want everybody to listen and don't unfollow, but it's... I'm trying to figure out what I want to say because it's so, I noticed that we were only fact checking one side, live fact checking. The news stations fact checked both candidates after the debate.
Read on it as well.
But we can't do it. So it comes across, the perception is that it is biased. And so I said on my Amanda Goodman page, the media is biased. And so people immediately will say, oh, 20 years of news, I'm telling you, the media is biased. You know it. You know that if you wake up in the morning, if you believe in one thing, you're turning on this station. If you believe in something else. So let's not call it news anymore. It is entertainment. It's entertainment. It's not news. Because you should never know how somebody votes when you turn them on. So it's really important now into the election, now that we're on another election year. And I tell people, I'm encouraging everybody to vote, but get informed. But make sure you're not being spoon-fed by anybody, not by us, not by anybody. And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, make sure you are really informed. Write down all the issues that matter to you and then just research the heck out of it.
And I think another thing that needs to be restated that I talked about in my morning, just rolled out of bed ramble last week.
It was very good, though.
Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. It was very good.
I said it last week. I'll say it again because it's worth repeating. At no time in our lives should we link our content, happy interactions with family and friends to politics. And what I mean by that is when, like I said, when you think of any time in your life, when you had a momentous occasion, something that was a blessing to you and your family, something that you'll never forget, at what point did you ever stop and say, and you know what, so-and-so was in the White House, and that's why this was even more spectacular.
That's why I was so happy. No,
we live our lives. Now, yes, that person or people in office influence some of the day-to-day in terms of policies and laws, obviously, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we're very much in a democracy living and have that free will that isn't often influenced as heavily as we like to think when we attack somebody and troll them for not agreeing with us. It's crazy.
You have to break it down into issues, because I can tell you that the many times I've gone to vote, I didn't vote for somebody that I liked. I didn't vote for somebody I liked because
it shouldn't be a popularity contest.
The chance of me going to have coffee with these people, and saying cheers.
You did get to interview some of them, which is
I've interviewed many of them, right? And so you can't unsee then what you've seen. You can't unhear things that you've heard. And, but it was just, that's why we were talking about it wasn't even the debate. I think it was the celebrity endorsements.
Oh.
Stop. Like, I don't care. This is why I don't care. Like, encourage people to vote, but I don't want to.
The other thing that's so
your
ridiculous,
plight is not my plight.
Can you imagine the thing with like the alleged Britney Mahomes and Taylor Swift? Because Britney liked a post that Taylor didn't agree with, now they're going to be in separate boxes. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, it's just insane. But that speaks to how almost controlled Taylor Swift's world is, where she probably has this team of people in her ear, and unfortunately probably doesn't have the free will to just live and make her own choices.
And listen, if it's talking about celebrities, anybody can say if they want to share who they're voting for, they can do that. But you have to understand, there's also people that will just blindly follow whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'll do it, whatever you say, like, I'll jump, I want people, it's kind of what the Treasury Secretary, when she said a couple months ago, she said, grocery prices haven't gone up. Well, because you're probably not in the grocery store. And grocery prices have gone up, because I literally screamed the other night. I'm like, blueberries at a discount grocery store, Walmart, I'll just say it, Walmart. They went from $5 the week before to like $9.50.
And this is insane. The thing that we've seen this. If you go back, as our apps will allow us, if you go back to previous grocery orders and you can see from your app history what the total was, order all those exact same items, obviously, or just put them in your cart. It's insane, the difference. It really is. We both relate so much, because when you have children, they eat everything in house and home. And so you're constantly, last night, a day after my son orders Popeyes, he's asking if he can order Chinese at 9:00 at night. And I'm going, no, like, go upstairs and heat up the whatever frozen item I just got, because we don't need to keep ordering out at Walmart. But you know how it is. It never tastes
at
as
7
good.
a.m.
Well, yeah, now I could always bring home this fried pickle. They'd love that. But
is that so good?
Oh, it's amazing. Seriously, can you try it?
I can't.
Okay. I know you're limited on what you can eat, but you can eat that whole pretzel.
Look how big. If you're just joining us, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to lift it up out of the tray so you can see what I'm tackling here.
I'm telling you, these fried pickles are amazing.
Look at this pretzel. No challenge.
Okay, the other thing we have to talk about.
Are we talking about Diddy?
Oh, yes. Okay, let's just qualify this by saying, like, you're not going to find two bigger white girl rap, hip hop, and R&B fans in Eastern Iowa than this duo. Okay, like, we grew up on it. Like, let me just expound on this. Freshman year of high school, Yo MTV Raps comes on the scene. Salt and Peppa.
Did you have the haircut?
Oh, didn't have the haircut, but let me tell you, like,
my sister had the haircut.
Around the Way Girl, LL Cool J. We've been there, right? And that's been the soundtrack of our lives. So when I moved into the college years and beyond, and when she, a little bit there behind me, also was really into how music evolved with East Coast, West Coast. Diddy was a central figure in all of that, in terms of the production and how, stars were made. So we weren't shocked by some of these allegations, but I think what is so troubling to us, and many of you can relate to this, can you imagine like a Justin Bieber who's in Canada living in a rural city, community gets like discovered basically by Diddy and some of these big city producers, and to think turning your child over to the wolves because of this promise of like fame, glory, and a music deal. And I just think,
are we surprised though?
But I just think it's got to be for his mom.
And this is what it is.
Just sickening.
It is sickening.
What did happen?
Because now they're saying that Justin Bieber has kind of like is isolated because his name's being tossed out as a potential victim.
Well, they said it
And
was an
here's-
18-year-old household name pop star.
And here is what happens, right? And you talk about they're saying that this case is making R. Kelly's case look mild. So you're take Diddy, take Harvey Weinstein, take R. Kelly. And what they all have in
Jeffrey
common.
Epstein.
And Jeffrey Epstein. They all have power, they all have money, and they all have a tremendous amount of influence.
And control.
You want to be famous, you want to do whatever you want to do, so you are thirsty. So you are gonna think about our time in the news. Right?
All
we
the
would have
things
done.
we compromised
Well, it was
ourselves
kind of like I have to
over.
wait. What? Okay, let me like abuse laxatives so I can get down to like 110 pounds. Oh, you want me to get a nose job? Well, I won't get a nose job, but like teach me how to contour the nose off my face. And
Oh yeah.
you want me to have that blonde bob?
Right.
Okay, like it's gonna fry my
Our
hair.
hair doesn't look the way you want it to look. Oh,
You
okay,
just
let
do
me,
all these things, and then you
kill
think-
myself to meet that standard that is unrealistic.
So, and then that's why you're putting kids in potential abuse, and that is why anybody in an abusive, any predator will find a hobby or a profession that gives them access to whomever they want to abuse. It's Jerry Sandusky. He was a legend in Pennsylvania, history, coach for Penn State. He was raping boys. What did he do? He started a children's charity for foster boys. And everyone thought he was this god. Oh, look what he's doing. No, he wanted access to children who were from broken homes.
You see this through a different lens because for the past 7 years,
Yes.
by leading a child abuse prevention agency and working as a child advocate, leveraging social platforms to do so, it has to really, in your mind, relate to some of the victims and the families that you've worked with in Eastern Iowa, where they don't even realize the depth and breadth of what went on. I believe that Bieber's mom, it was a little bit out of sight, out of mind. Like in your mind, you're just like, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. But then also
Who would
that
hurt a
sick
kid?
feeling in your stomach, like, wait a minute, now I wonder like what really happened. And as you know, the children are going to be groomed and conditioned to never admit to the parents what the scope of what really happened in many cases.
They're groomed to believe. The majority of kids don't know they're being abused because they've been led to believe that this is considered normal behavior. It's normal behavior. And the thing is the predators will start with the parents first. So I'm sure in Diddy's case, if he was having these underage victims, he was starting, it's kind of like R. Kelly. He started with the parents and like smoothing, like, schmoozing them and just saying, it's R. Kelly.
Right.
I mean,
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, if you,
it's to your earlier point, you trust a person who's famous because we paint this illusion in our mind that they're credible, trustworthy, and good people.
And that's
our first mistake.
And that's what makes it so difficult. That's what made it so difficult to run a nonprofit in this area, right? Run a nonprofit and still
hold everybody accountable.
I get so ticked when I think about hold everybody accountable because the problem is that everyone wants to protect a child until it's an adult they know. And then once it's an adult they know, then it doesn't happen. Well, the problem was too many people who were being predators knew all the right people in all the right places. So then what did they do? When Big Bad Amanda came in and started writing about it and talking about it.
It was your fault.
It was my fault. I was trying to ruin towns and communities. And then funders would say, well, we're not donating to them anymore because she's just a troublemaker. Like, kick rocks. Like, get out of here. Like, I'm about to light a match.
We need to talk about that because a big announcement came out this week. It's specific to the Cedar Valley, but it impacts beyond across Iowa. And that is that the nonprofit, the Child Abuse Prevention Agency that she's headed up, Family and Children's Council, she worked and helped lead the charge to essentially create a merger. So talk about what happened.
So we are merging with the Allen Child Protection Center. The Allen Child Protection Center is the most important resource in our community. The majority of major communities have them, child protection centers, and its intervention and prevention always work together. In our community, it didn't yet, right? I believe the Child Protection Center was built here about 13 years ago. So it's basically, Child Protection Center is when a child, discloses they've been abused, they go there and then they get the help they need. They get medical treatment, they get, the mental health treatment that they need, and they get, it's all of the things to make sure the kiddo is safe and get pulled out of an unsafe environment. So when we brokered this deal, I knew that I was brokering a deal that was going to put me out of a job because they have so many amazing people over there and they don't need an executive director, over there.
But how are you feeling about essentially eliminating your position by putting what's best for the agency and ultimately children first?
I feel amazing. I feel one of those it is finished, right? I feel like this great relief. There was no sadness over me because when you do something for the greater good, this is what's better. We go from now helping children in one county to children in 27 counties. So it's not about me. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not that world of fundraising and where I have to kiss the ring and keep everybody happy in order to make sure the funding still comes into that nonprofit. It's
a lot.
It's a lot. It's heavy. And especially because I know the people I know who has withheld money because I got too close to their home. And that is something that I can't unsee. But it's like, now I know.
Well, and unfortunately, as many of us have experienced in life, you vote with your pocketbook, really dating myself by saying pocketbook. That's like an East Coast thing. My friends from the East Coast would say pocketbook. That's what our grandma would say. We say purse.
We say pocketbook.
But we vote with our pocketbook. And what I mean by that is if you don't like something or someone and there's money tied to it, that impacts how much you're willing to be generous. And so in the case of what she's speaking about, it could be, one post on Facebook and then that person who may have been a faithful donor to the agency that she was heading up, oh no, I'm going to just tear that check up. When in fact it should be about helping children, and they were making it about, well, I don't like Amanda being mouthy and being honest about kids being abused. Right. So, I mean, we've learned and seen a lot of dirty tricks behind the scenes.
I think some people were celebrating, had gotten back to me that like, oh, she's gone. Now I have nobody to answer to. So actually, you think I'm going to stop?
Actually, she's just getting started.
It was just kind of like, I had the image of Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale when she lit her
I love it.
cheating husband stuff on fire.
All right, we have to go back. One comment I have to make, observation about the Diddy situation. If you're just joining us, P Diddy, Sean Combs is
Puffy.
In the spotlight for nefarious reasons this week, alleged to have been involved in human trafficking and extortion, every horrible crime.
A lot of baby oil.
That you could imagine. So here's my question or comment. How can you imagine J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, was dating him when a nightclub shooting happened where she allegedly helped him hide the gun or was his gun mule in this situation? Now,
let's remember, she's street. She's from the Bronx.
But that's what
she's Jenny from the Block.
Jenny from the Block. But this is what I laugh about. Can you imagine, like, Ben Affleck, comes back into J-Lo's life and then all this surfaces and now they're going through a divorce. And can you imagine the conversation where Ben is like, now, Jenny, I don't know what he calls her, baby, did you, in fact, conceal P. Diddy's gun? And then he's having a conversation about the kids with Jen Garner, who's off doing cooking blogs. And, hi, Jen. Oh, yeah, you probably heard in the news, your kid's stepmom did conceal P. Diddy's 9mm. I mean, I just think it's so funny how
but also Ben Affleck is also, because he's from
the mean streets of South Boston. So yes, but here's what I think is hilarious. Like it's like the Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation.
Right.
When you have kids with somebody and then they get tied to crazy, then you're tied to crazy.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's like now Jen Garner is once removed from a club with P. Diddy and a nightclub shooting.
First of all, it was, Diddy, come on. All you ever did was like dancing like.
Well, we still can't get over that TikTok we saw this week where he did not ask Sting, allegedly, for permission
for I'll Be Missing You
to sample Every Breath You Take, which was that huge hit. And that's an iconic song and video. I mean, that was one of the best music awards video or performances ever.
Right. And so when Diddy did that song in honor of Biggie and had Faith
Evans,
on it,
right.
Faith
Now,
Evans
so
on
supposedly Sting for the rest of their lives Diddy has to pay Sting $2,000 a day to make up for the royalties, the copyright violation. I mean, that blew my mind, but I'm sure to Diddy, 2,000 sounds like
nothing.
Child's play.
Nothing. But, maybe we'll come to a city because this is the other thing, completely switching gears, the Faith in 4 Little Words tour. We're going to be going national. I mean, this is what was so cool. We went to Riceville, Iowa.
Great town.
Great place. Beautiful golf course, that we were on this little restaurant on this golf course. And we're sitting there and people were kind of like looking at us and I said, did you watch us on television? And they had no idea who we were. And they were apologizing. And I said, no, but I loved it because there were about 60 people in there who had no idea who we were. And then when they left, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I got so many messages since that show on Wednesday night. Like, I had no idea. This is everything I needed to hear. I went through the same thing. They were just relating. They were relating to, you know, your story with your dad and your mom being a widow. And they were relating to me and going through all the stuff that we went through.
It was so affirming because it just proves that the universal experience of women, and for that matter, men, and how we are impacted by the seasons of our lives, it's just a universal message, regardless of whether they know that we're these two washed up former TV news anchors. I find it so comforting in a way, and it's cathartic for both of us, because when we share some of our truth, and it's not just our truth, you know, the truth of what we experienced in our professional circles, but personally, it's so cathartic for me to just talk about all the things that happened with my father being diagnosed, my mother being a caregiver, and then now a widow. It helps me heal to know that by telling our story, someone there in the audience, in this case, a 25-year widow who lost her husband to ALS, to just have her come up and feel like she was seen, she was heard, and we recognized the value that she still brings to her small circle, to her community. And that's what we're all about, is just giving women that sort of vote of confidence, that pat on the back, the affirmation to say, like, you matter. And even if your boss, society, or a horrible course of events in your life makes you feel otherwise, like, we're here to tell you, and to just, like we like to say, breathe life back into you, that you still have value and are needed in this world to impact things for good. And so, yes, that Riceville small town experience had such a big impact on our emotional state. And I believe for you, it was God's perfect timing, because you were going through this week a huge transition in finally merging this agency that's been your baby. And here's what's so interesting. When we were driving there, she said, you know, I'm really not going to talk about this child advocacy thing, because we didn't know, like she said, to what extent these people were familiar with her background or the social media influencer role. So we didn't really touch on it at all. She didn't say anything. And at the very end of the show, a woman raises her hand and basically prompts and says, yeah, but you're a child influencer. How come you didn't mention that at all? And it was like, okay, God, you know that that's what your purpose is, and that message that needs to be shared, because someone in that audience needed to hear it.
Well, and now moving forward, I've always had a very supportive board of directors, being a child advocate, right? But there are literally no strings attached now. There are no strings attached now, because there are so many things that I have not brought to light. So many, in order to protect the agency in which I was trying to fundraise for. So many. And I'm talking former school administrators who try to get me fired.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were connected to something. I have that. I mean, so many. And so it was, for the longest time, I was trying to protect this baby, the Child Abuse Prevention Agency. Now it's in amazing hands. It's merging where it should be. It is not, I'm literally just getting started, because that was a moment the other night when that happened. It was like, okay, God, I hear you. I'm still supposed to be talking about this. I'm still supposed to be advocating. So you don't need a title. And that's the thing for you at home. You don't need a title to go do something that you're passionate about. I don't need a title. I don't need to be the executive director of a child abuse prevention agency in order to advocate for children, in order to empower women. It's just who we are. It's who I am. And if I'm mouthy, and I'm mouthy. If you want to label me any way you want to label me.
Can you imagine how much, when you are a parent who has a child who's been victimized, or in this case, many cases, the horrific fallout of sexual abuse, they need a pit bull in their corner. And so to know that you, weight, influence, credibility, all the things, would get behind them and come alongside them, that's a very powerful thing that can't be quantified.
Well, and people think that I enjoy ruining towns or school districts. No, the predator, when they made those disgusting decisions, they're the one that did that. I'm a journalist. I'm just not paid for by advertisers. So there was there was no one controlling me, because how many stories have we had pulled over a career? Not just the career that we spent, where we finished. Throughout our career, we had stories pulled because it was affecting an advertiser, and you do not affect the bottom line. You do not affect the money. So the irony of, in the nonprofit world for me, it was still attached to money. It was still attached to money.
Everything, unfortunately, leads back to
money. You do not get to tell me how to think, what to say, because you have more zeros in your bank account than I do. Because you think that if you think you have more power, let's dance. Let's go. Because I don't think you do.
And how fun that now we get to decide
We're
advertisers and bonus if they give you a free basket of fried pickles.
Well, they know the pretzel. Well, and the other thing is, Grumpy's Reland, Grumpy's Waverly, where we are right now. Mike is over there. They're having like a little business meeting, but it's a man who built a bigger table for us, right? Like your palm print right
sorry
in.
About that, folks. They're gonna
get your meeting. So of course Levi's there.
Here is
mooching on
this
somebody.
Incredible space that has just opened here on Bremer Avenue. Grumpy's Roadhouse. Shiny and clean and excellent food awaits you here. Now let me pan down. So check out this burger and fries. The homemade fried pickles, amazing. And
those
that
look divine.
sauce, it's like the sweet sauce. And then your prized, half-eaten soft pretzel.
Yeah, call me out like that.
No,
it's
I know,
like bigger than my head.
It's breakfast now. No, I have to pan over here. I love this sign. Husband Daycare Center. Need time to relax? Leave your husband with us. We will look after him for you. You only pay for his drinks. I love that. So this is our pseudo stand here that we set up inside Grumpy's. I'm going to flip the camera back so we can close out. Sorry, guys. Sorry you're getting like a palm reading there with my hand.
I'm really like eyeing up that fried pickle, but I
got it. Oh, I know. I know. You can't really do the fried stuff. Can I get this to go back on there? Okay. So one other thing that we have to kind of end on, and that is we've talked about, and I detailed it last week, the trauma that has befallen some communities like LaPorte City with an unfortunate accident involving high school students that led to injuries, a fatality. I mean, absolutely horrific. It just so happens that next week we had already scheduled a show in LaPorte City. And so I think it's important that we mention that for us, this is an opportunity where we hope that we can bring some, healing words in the case of what we did last week and what we will continue to do, the prayerful support to know that once a tragedy happens, it does change the fabric of community. But beyond that, it often leaves people feeling isolated when they should feel so supported. And you experienced this firsthand with Jake Wilson's family.
I did. And that's why I wrote a post this morning on my AG page. It was encouraging everyone to check on them. Whoever just went through something, because what happens is when someone goes through an unimaginable tragedy, it's, there's all of the hashtags, there's the Facebook posts, there's the casseroles being brought to their house, there's, the t-shirts and the memorials, and then there's all of the things. And then when it's over and the games go back on schedule, and then when all the noise in life
resume,
everything, that's when their life gets really quiet. That's when we need to check on people. Like if you've experienced a loss in your family, you know what it's like.
Absolutely.
You have all these people around you, and then all of a sudden they're gone and you're by yourself. These people are by themselves, and they lost a teenage son.
Yeah, it's almost like this is when the switch comes on in the morning and the grief begins, because you are no longer caught up in the busyness and chaos of everything that happened and the immediate planning for the funeral and all of the things. I'll never forget. I mean, that's what it was for my mom, because we were all there and we were all together. And when my father unexpectedly passed away almost so soon, 2 hours after I arrived with my family, and then we stayed there and did all the funeral prep and everything. And then the day of, when it all culminated with this meal, we ended up, my whole family then, going back to Iowa because of work and other obligations. And it was like instantly my mom, even though my sister's family still lives there, they went back to their house. She was instantly alone. And so began those quiet nights of solitude where you can go down a rabbit hole of grief without anybody there. And so I just think that's so important that you shared that message on social media, and that we next week will have an opportunity to make people laugh, cry, for many reasons that we all have sadness in our lives, but also celebrate the sisterhood that can come together in small or even large communities based on the relationships that you forge with other women who, whatever their age, are going to be key in helping you get through the tough times. You know, our husbands we love, but it's crucial that you, I think, have strong relationships with women.
Oh, absolutely. Even women that you don't know, just know that you're standing there with them side by side, walking through the fire. So I think it's a good reminder to be good to each other, check on everybody, especially those quiet friends. Check on them today. And if you're not doing anything for lunch, get up to Waverly, get to Grumpy's. I mean, this soft pretzel, it's gonna be gone. I'm going to my Antivio fusion right now, and so I'm like may just sit there with all like tubed up, eating my gnawing on my pretzel.
Thank you guys so much. Make it a great Friday. Thanks again to Mike and his team here at Grumpy's Roadhouse, and we will see you on the road for the Faith and 4-Letter Words tour, or next week once again live as we are every Friday morning at 7. Sorry, I'm talking with my
not with fried pickles next week. Not with fried pickles.